A Chancellor putting the final touches on his pre-election budget that could be his last. With so much at stake for Jeremy Hunt's party, as well as his own political prospects, a cut to national insurance coming our way. Miles behind in the polls, the Tories need a huge swing in support to get back into play. But voters in his constituency unsure if Mr Hunt can hold on.
I think he's probably better than his party. I think he's a fairly straightforward MP. He's a good constituency MP. Whether he'll be here after the election, who knows?
Certainly, as a mum of three, I sort of get lost in knowing, sometimes there are promises made, and sometimes it's really hard to trust knowing that those promises are going to come to fruition.
Members of Mr Hunt's local Conservative association say the Chancellor needs to balance tax cuts with spending on public services.
Yes, they would love tax cuts, but everybody realises in their heart of hearts that these have to be afforded.
But news that Mr Hunt donated more than £100,000 of his own money to his local party suggests he knows the fight he's in to remain an MP.
There are large numbers of candidates all over the country, and they're showing their seriousness by putting their money in. We're going to fight a good campaign here, and a strong campaign, and we think that we should prevail.
But a Liberal Democrat takeover is brewing here. Their leader, Ed Davey, on Hunt's patch.
Cheers.
And confident.
I think Jeremy Hunt is in real trouble in his seat from the Liberal Democrats. Everyone can see that the Liberal Democrats are the ones who can win here in Ashton Godalming, but also across Surrey, across the Blue Wall.
The Chancellor will say that this budget proves his economic plan is on track, and he will deliver another £10 billion of tax cuts for workers to prove that point. But whether he says he's delivering for voters or not, you don't appear to be listening. There were tax cuts earlier this year, and yet the polls haven't moved. Indeed, some inside Number 10 tell me quietly they don't expect this budget to be a big poll game changer. And that leaves the question, if this doesn't shift the dial, what next? Conservative MPs want the Chancellor to be bolder.
So we've had national insurance cuts already. We had one in the autumn statement. That is why I think the best way forward would be to balance that out with an income tax cut. And obviously that's a change to the thresholds. Up to 4 million more people will be dragged into paying higher rates of taxation because those thresholds haven't changed by 2029. And I think we need to do something about that.
Amid all the warring Tory factions, there is consensus something needs to change. And if this budget can't do it, many will be asking what can.